Job hunting in the 21st century, using technology for career search advantages, an applicant's ultimate tool to getting behind the recruiter's wall for the career seeker's advantage in job searches. Who am I? I'm Dawn D. Boyer, Ph.D., with 22 years of human resources recruiting and resume writing experience, and I have written over 10,000 resumes in the last 12 years, as well as assisted hundreds of job seekers getting their resume before recruiters, headhunters, or hiring manager for serious consideration as a job candidate. I'm going to be transparent. My consulting company does help job seekers rewrite resumes for job searches, so if after watching my series of presentations you simply decide you can't or don't want to do it yourself, I can help you with your resume to get that new job. I have to warn you, this presentation and the ones following don't have a lot of graphics in them, but you're going to get the most amount of data possible in the shortest time period for impactful, valuable, educational, and useful information. Because it's not going to be a lot of pretty pictures, it might be a little boring to your eyes, but it is ear candy for the amount of incredible, valuable information you could take away with this. So sit back in a comfy chair, get your pen ready, and take some notes. You need to develop a plan. Every trip worth making begins with a goal, and every trip worth taking has a map to follow. Successful businesses have a strategic short and long-term plan, so you need to treat your job search as if it were a strategic business goal. Job searches and career planning should be no different than running a business. So you need to know what you need to know. Before you start writing your resume, you need to understand the difference between old-fashioned advice and new technology and new age advice, and how that's going to make your job search today much different than when your parents searched for employment. So I'm going to go through and compare what used to happen in the 20th century and maybe even the early part of the 21st century, and how the 21st century methods have changed using technology today. A professional resume is what you need to stand out from competing applicants for that new job you're interested in. A curriculum vitae will demonstrate and prove your knowledge, skills, and abilities. It will essentially show, not tell, about how wonderful you are. Currently, a resume should be search engine optimized, which means it must be loaded with those keywords and phrases so that your resume is at the top of the query result queue. You want your resume to be easy to find by recruiters and hiring managers who are using Boolean searches out on the internet using Google, Yahoo, Bing, any other. Load your resume into multiple recruiting databases. Recruiters like to do what they call resume farming. The more they have, the easier and quicker it may be for them to find a qualified candidate to hand to a hiring manager. The resume needs to be in an easy-to-parse format for data entry into the automatic tracking systems. The software gets somewhat sophisticated, but it's only so good. You need to have everything spelled out so that the system recognizes what can be pushed over. So let's compare the old methods of resume writing and job search that may hinder instead of help your career possession today versus the new, more modern methods of resume writing and job search methods that will put you in front of the right people and the right eyeballs that make hiring decisions at the right time. Once you know the difference and you understand how the technology has changed for resume writing and job search processes, this will enable you to use the modern technology processes with your understanding so that representatives within the recruiting industry will be able to find you to your advantage. In the 20th century, the procedure was usually to type up a hard copy resume, and it could be 1 to 2 pages in length, and it was always told never to have it more than 2 pages. You may fold it up and put it into an envelope and send it in the United States Postal Service mail, or you may hand deliver it by driving from store to store or business to business and also filling out hard copy applications. Your friends and family were limited within a small geographic location, so the social network to find a new job was not very large. Resumes or cover letters also were mailed to blind newspaper ads where you didn't know who the company or the business were, and you may have gone to the State Employment Commission offices to apply online or to find out what jobs were posted there. And resumes were manually read by recruiters and human resources representatives. Job postings in newspapers were relatively descriptive because ad space was cheap for businesses back then. It could be anywhere from $100 to $250 for 10 to 20 column lines. There was a national U.S. jobs database that all employers could post the help wanted ads in for free, or job seekers could search through and recruiters could look for resumes. National magazines would post advertisements for diversity candidates meeting EEOC requirements. MonsterCom and CareerBuilder.com were pretty much the only ones in town that offered real job boards on the internet and allowed people to post their resume for recruiters. Job descriptions sometimes were written in very cryptic language and were too generic to really understand what the true requirements were. Some jobs might have been posted on company internal bulletin boards, so the public may never have seen those job openings or postings. Newspapers would normally post the job openings on Wednesday afternoon or the Sunday paper, and this usually resulted in a flood of competitive resumes that the HR reps would have to wade through on Monday or Tuesday. State Employment Commission agencies were usually used for posting the low-level positions. Very few golden nuggets for the CEO or CFO were posted there. Job descriptions sometimes were compiled by committee. Everybody had a utopian idea of what they thought the job candidate should have in experience and skills. Sometimes the job descriptions were based on the boss's needs, not the company needs or the strategic goals. And family and friends may have been too tight a circle to provide any useful career intelligence or knowledge about a business that was local that you wanted to apply to. Now, there's a big difference in the 21st century, especially since technology has advanced so far. Digital resumes are pretty much required most of the time now for job seekers in the open market. It is okay now to have multiple pages, more than 2 pages. And in fact, some resumes can run 4 or 5 pages for a mature job seeker. Resumes can be instantly delivered now through email, posts on the internet, and through private websites or recruiting websites owned by the companies. They could be delivered electronically from home, from work, or mobile devices. And there are international social media networks now. Boolean searches on private websites, blogs, social media networks, education institutions, conventions, and webinars, actually called deep web searches, will find passive candidates as well as active candidates now. The Boolean searches, which are key skill word based, provide instant query results for the top candidates for recruiters who are searching for specific key skill words or phrases. Savvy recruiters and headhunters now have paid accounts for not only LinkedIn, but proprietary resume databases such as the Monster, Career Builder, and other sites. Boolean searches can also reach out on the internet and dig into personal websites, blogs, company networks, institutional resume books, and organization lists such as conference members or customer databases. Search engine optimizations should be used to the advantage by job candidates because the recruiters will use them heavily. They also are useful for the job seeker because now you can search on the internet for competitive job and salary range information for that job you're looking for. About 20 years ago, there came out a game in Hollywood called The 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon had been so involved with so many movies as an actor, producer, and director that you could probably find a link to him through no less than 7 people in the Hollywood scene. Social media has enabled people to reach out for introductions to more networked relationships around the world to anyone who has an internet access or a smartphone now, that it is now no longer the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You are now 3 degrees away from most anybody in the world. In fact, I am 3 degrees away from Kevin Bacon. I have a girlfriend who used to play with his older sisters in Philadelphia, so if I really, really, truly needed to reach out and touch base with Kevin Bacon, I most likely could. In the 21st century, newspaper ads have gotten so tremendously expensive that most companies can no longer afford to post them in a local newspaper. It could be $750 for just 4 column lines, and in some large markets and newspapers like the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, ads for 4 or 5 lines could run into the thousands. Monster.com and CareerBuilder may cost a recruiter $12,000 a year for a business user license to look for candidates within their databases. So there has to be alternatives. Job descriptions now are legally regulated for EEOC, ADA, DOL, and other federal agency laws, so must have more writing and description in them, which makes them longer. And the federal EEOC requires all job openings to be posted for at least 3 to 5 business days for companies with 20 or more employees in that office, worksite, or metropolitan area. Companies are now audited by the government for specific language in their help wanted ads, looking for prejudicial wording. And HR reps need to scrub those ads carefully for specific language to avoid any liability after the candidate is hired or from non-qualified applicants. Companies now have recruiting portals with ATS or automatic tracking systems to store and collect resumes. Recruiters also go out to Facebook and LinkedIn and post job opening notices, and they use Boolean searches to get search savvy so they can go out there and use as many free sources for those job search candidates. Blogs are great for people who are looking for a job because they can post their resume, and companies can also put fully loaded job descriptions for career seekers to read in the company blogs. Twitter is used to send out notices for new job openings, even if it's only the job title, to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of potential job candidates who are looking or following the company's tweets. Personal websites are now very cheap methods of self-promotion and public brag boards. Because some are free and others are relatively inexpensive, you can post your own resume there and wait for people to contact you. Now, how are you going to use this knowledge that you've learned? What you want to do is be able to use the available internet information and tools to build a rich resume from available job descriptions. You can find out about detailed wish lists and requirements for specific jobs for you to either include those key terms and phrases in your resume, or you can use that information to build an educational or promotional goal where you map out what skills you need to get or experience you need to obtain to qualify for jobs in the future. You can research salary ranges for those job descriptions that are realistic for geographic areas of the country, and you can also analyze cost of living adjustments for outside the country. One job here in the United States may be paying $50,000 to $75,000, but if you transplant that job to London, England, or Tokyo, Japan, you may have to add 25% on just for the cost of living. So watch for job postings via social media before it gets published publicly and officially through the company's recruiting website or job board. So, are you still using old-fashioned methodology, or are you now aware of new technology and are savvy to the 21st century job search methodologies? At the end of this presentation, you should now know the difference between 20th century and 21st century career searches, tools, and practices, and know what you need to know to delve into building a good resume and doing a good job search. So if you've gotten to this point and you've decided, you know what, I'd rather have a professional help me out, you can hire an expert. Visit my website at dboyerconsulting.com, or you can send me an email at dawn.boyer@dboyerconsulting.com and hire that expert to rewrite your resume to obtain results that you are seeking to advance your career. I look forward to working with you.